Just starting to settle into the sense of the connection of your seat. So whether that's the backs of the thighs or your sit bones or maybe outer part of the lower legs or the feet, just starting to feel into the connection between those tissues and either your chair or your cushion. And then as we do that, starting to either find a place to gaze, maybe a few feet in front of you, or allowing the eyes to close completely for a moment. And then as we close out external stimuli by softening gaze or closing eyes, really coming back into that sense of connection between our base and our support. Feeling that prop or floor or chair fully holding you, fully supporting you. And then noticing the space at the very top of the head. And as you keep that sense of groundedness in your seat, starting to imagine lightness building from the top of the head. So as if the top of your head is blooming like a flower up toward the sun. Maybe you have a sense of lifting or opening. Maybe you start to feel yourself sitting a little taller. And then letting the awareness travel back down to your low belly. And just starting to notice the sense of your breath. What does the air feel like drawing in through the nose or in through the lips? Where does it travel to? What sort of movement comes with it? And what does the air feel like leaving your body? Is there movement there? And just sitting in quiet here for a moment, seeing if we can allow our awareness to sit fully with our inhales and exhales. And then with your next inhale, imagine breathing in a little more deeply, expanding fully into the lungs, feeling the ribs expand outward in all directions. And then slowing down the next exhale. Really deep, expansive, full inhales. Slow exhales. And then with that next inhale, imagine that you could expand out even more fully past your lungs and into the rest of your tissues. Imagine that you could inhale all the way out to the very barrier of your skin, filling your entire body with that in-breath. And then taking a moment here, just acknowledging any anxieties, any stressors, any tensions. We have a lot of those in life right now. And finding another one of those really big, expansive inhales, filling the entire body. And then with your exhale, imagine just a letting go or a washing away of anxiety, of fear, tension. Deep filling inhales, exhales, just letting everything go. And then I want us to bring the hands to heart, but rather than heart center, we're going to bring the hands to anatomical heart, and we're going to cup one hand over another. So I'm actually placing my left palm just over my heart and then my right hand on top of that. Eyes can be open or closed here. And then take a moment to just start to think about a little bit of love or compassion or gratitude, just generating a positive feeling here. And then imagining that helpful sensation, that love, compassion, is actually going to start to physically fill those two hands. So it's pouring out of your being and into your hands. And then we're going to share that love and compassion and positivity with the rest of the world. So as I've allowed that sense or that idea to come out into the hands, I'm going to start to pull my hands away from my body, open my palms out to all of you, out to the world, and just imagining that I'm sending all of that brightness, all that love, all that compassion out to everyone near and far. And then I'm going to scoop up whatever I need for my own wellness. And I'm going to bring all that right back to my heart, allowing those palms to rest again for a moment. And then just allowing the eyes to open, allowing the hands to rest at the lap, and then just starting with some easy shoulder shrugs. So bringing shoulders up toward ears, drawing them toward the wall behind you, letting them slide down the back, pairing that movement with breath, inhaling to lift up, exhaling to lower back and down. And then letting those shoulders soften all the way away from the ears, and we'll switch directions, letting them drop back, up, forward, down. And letting the shoulders soften all the way away from the ears. Waiting for your next inhale. Inhaling, sweeping the hands up overhead. We'll let the palms meet overhead, and then exhale the hands down through heart center. Making a few of these big shoulder circles this direction. Inhaling, lifting, exhaling, drawing down through heart center. And then again, switching directions. So we'll bring those palms all the way overhead, let them meet for a moment, and then open them back and down, and letting the palms meet in front of the hips, lifting up through heart center. And making one more big circle, and then we'll meet with the hands overhead. So letting the palms meet, resting overhead, and then bringing about a shoulder distance between the palms. Oh, see, this is so nice because unlike with Facebook Live, I can see you and where your hands are. This is amazing. So we're going to inhale here in center, and then we're going to exhale, twist to the left. So float those hands down, let left fingertips rest behind the hip, right hand will reach across, reach for the thigh, and then inhale, we'll twist back through center, lifting the fingertips, exhaling, twisting right, letting those hands float down, and flowing a few times. Side to side inhales, bring you through center. Exhale, lower the hands and twist. And flowing once or twice more so you're balanced. After that last one, we'll just meet back in center and let the hands come back down to the lap. On the floor, we're going to reach the hands out toward the floor in front of the legs and walk into a seated forward fold. So hands start to walk toward the top of the mat, head, shoulders, melt down toward the floor. And when we get to that space where we start to feel a little sensation or stretch, we're going to walk gently side to side, swaying torso toward one side and then the other. And then coming back through center, start a slow roll all the way back up towards seated. Take a nice big shoulder roll back at the top, and then we'll bring the hands around behind the low back, interlace the fingers, and then draw hands toward the space behind the hips. Let the shoulders draw back, sternum lift, gaze lift. And drawing the hands back toward the spine, unlace the fingers, bring the hands beside you, give the hands a little shake. And then if you're on a chair or on a prop, we're gonna come down onto the floor. So bringing sits bones down onto mat or floor, and then we're gonna bring the legs out a little wide, sit back a little bit, and do some seated windshield wipers. So hands come to the floor behind the hips, heels are a little bit wide, bend into the knees. And then we'll just let the knees fall to one side, opposite hip pops up, moving the other direction. And lifting the knees back toward the ceiling. And we're gonna take one heel, slide it all the way over to meet the opposite heel, tuck the feet back toward the glutes, walk the hands all the way around and lift up onto hands and knees. And noticing that support in knees, shins, tops of feet, palms, and finger pads. And the spine is nice and long, so crown of the head gently drawing away from the tailbone. And then lifting and lowering through a few cat tilts. So big inhale in that neutral spine. And then as we start the exhale, we imagine we're lengthening the tailbone toward the heels, mid-spine lifts, gaze comes down. And as we inhale, tailbone lifts, belly lowers, heart opens, gaze lifts. And flowing a few times. And finding one more, each direction, back to neutral. And then letting the knees come a little wide, almost to the edge of the mat, letting the toes point toward one another and sending the hips back to the heels, finding a wide knee child's pose. And then here in child's pose, walking side to side. So walking the hands over to the left, so you feel that little stretch on the right, back through center. Over to the right, find a little stretch on the left, and just continue this walking the hands back and forth, moving side to side. Finding one more over to the right. Making your way back to that extended wide knee child's pose. And then lifting back up toward tabletop, bringing the knees back in line with the hips. And noticing where hips are in space, we're going to keep the two sides of the pelvis level while we slide the right leg back behind us. We're moving towards spinal balance. So we're going to lift that right leg parallel to the floor, see if we can keep the right hip level with the left. Right heel presses, toes pull in. We're really going to firm up the right shoulder and then slide that left arm out in front of you. Rotate the pinky to face the floor. Again, find that inhale as you imagine lengthening in the spine. And then as you exhale, round the spine towards the ceiling, elbow, knee, meet under belly. Inhale, find that length. Exhale, round, elbow, knee, meet. And flowing once more this side after your last inhale to lengthen, using an exhale. Bring that hand and knee back to the mat. And then just move through a little lift and lower for the spine or a little side bend or wiggle. And getting ready to move into that spinal balance second side. So we're going to start with the hips level, slide that left leg back, heels pressing, toes pulling, nice and supported in the left palm and shoulder. Right arm reaches out, pinky reaches for the floor. Inhale to create length. Exhale around the spine, elbow, knee, meet under belly. And flowing once more this side. Using an exhale to bring the hand and knee back down. And then this time, keeping the knees in line with the hips, sending the hips back toward the heels, finding a child's pose. Lifting back up toward tabletop. Stepping down onto the forearms, so elbows connect to the mat just under the shoulders, and we're going to let the palms rest together. And then finding a little flow here. So my elbows are going to stay just as they are. I'm going to take a big inhale in this starting position. As I exhale, I'm going to draw hips back toward heels like I'm reaching for child's pose. We won't get quite all the way there. And then I'm going to lift back through that starting position. Exhale, come a little forward of where we started. Hips and shoulders drawing down toward the earth. Inhaling, lifting, exhaling, drawing back. And then the next time you draw back toward that child's pose, release the forearms, release the hands, let them slide along with you. Let the hips come all the way to the heels, child's pose. Lifting back toward tabletop. We're going to keep the right leg where it is. We're going to slide the left leg back behind us. Keep the toes connected to the floor but lifted knee. And then slide that left leg all the way out to the left side. Turn the toes to face toward the top of your mat. And then we'll twist toward that extended leg. So with next inhale, we're going to turn toward left leg. Lift the left fingertips overhead. Gaze follows the fingertips. As we exhale, turning the heart back down toward the mat. Fingertips reach under opposite arm. Inhaling, lifting up and open. Exhaling, turning down, threading the needle. And finding one more inhale to expand upward. Using an exhale, bring that left hand back to the mat for a moment. And then just check in, see that your left foot is just about even with your left knee, keeping in mind you may have to adjust it as we move toward gate pose. So we're going to walk our hands in toward our right knee until we can lift all the way up into a kneel. Bring our left hand palm face up on our left thigh. And then we're going to inhale, sweep that right hand up overhead, and exhale into a side bend, sliding that left hand down toward the left foot. And then next inhale, we're going to lift back up toward neutral, and we're going to take that right hand, reach it out to the right side, and then start to lean your whole body to the right. We're going to bring those fingertips down toward the floor. As we do that, we're going to lift the left leg, so it's going to pop up and come parallel to the floor, and then you can either keep this left hand resting at the hip or thigh, or you can bring it up to a T, shoulder stacked over shoulder, gazing past those left fingers. And then moving from here into a big side stretch. So left foot floats back to the floor, left hand reaches overhead, and we find this big side body stretch. And then we'll use the support of that left arm to start to lift our way out. So that left arm is going to reach all the way back over toward my left leg, and I'm going to use the weight of that arm to start to lift myself back up. Flow all the way over into a second gate pose. So left hand lands palm face up on the thigh. Right hand comes overhead, and I find that side bend. Lifting our way back up toward neutral. And we're going to take both hands, reach them toward the floor just in front of that right knee. starting to lean over, find a little bit of support in the fingers so we can walk the palms back out under the shoulders. Slide that left foot back in line with the hip, and then bring it all the way across center on the right side of the mat, and then bring the gaze all the way around to that foot, finding another side bend. And allowing the gaze to come forward, foot to come back in line with the hip, knee to come down to the mat. Find a little juicy movement for hips and spine. And setting yourself up for that twisting flow, second side. Right toes slide back. Foot comes all the way up to the right side. Toes turn toward the top of your mat. And then with an inhale, opening the heart toward that foot, fingertips reach. Exhale, turning down, fingers reach under left arm. Finding one more. Inhale to lift. Exhale to bring that right hand back to the mat. And we'll walk hands back toward the knee so we can lift all the way up to kneeling. Let the right hand come palm face up on the thigh. Left hand lift overhead, and then come into your gate pose. And with an inhale, lifting, reaching that left hand out to the side, reaching a little further as torso starts to reach that way. Fingertips come down toward the floor as we connect through the fingertips. Right leg floats, and then decide what feels best for right arm. Resting on the thigh, hip, overhead. And finding that big side stretch, right foot floats back to the floor, right arm reaches overhead. And as you're ready, next inhale, lift you back up, making your way all the way over to a second gate pose. Lifting back towards center. And we'll take both hands down toward the floor in front of the knees. Walk the hands out so shoulders land over wrists. Right leg slides back in line with the hip, and then all the way across center line off the left side of the mat. And we look back at our foot. Allowing the gaze to come forward, foot to come back in line with the hip, knee to come down. Either find a little movement for hips and spine here, or come up to downward facing dog, stepping the hands out a few inches of the shoulder, tucking the toes, lifting the tailbone as the knees straighten, but don't lock, armpits gently rotating in toward one another, and then find a little movement for hips and spine here, pedaling the feet, fingerating the hips, rocking forward, backward, or side to side. And then finding stillness in either your tabletop or your downward facing dog, moving toward forward fold at the top of your mat. So from tabletop, stepping forward one leg at a time, or from down dog, slow walking or taking a little hop or float forward with the feet. Feet meet the hands and we're dangling down over the thighs. So we're nice, deep bend in the knees and soft in the spine. You can dangle the arms, bring hands to elbows, bring the hands to the low back.
And then continuing that sense of dangling and ease, starting a slow roll or ragdoll up towards standing. And finding your Tadasana. So finding a nice comfortable stance for feet, shoulders nice and soft, coming back to that sense of lightness at the top of the head, nice length in the spine. And waiting for that next inhale, sweeping the hands up overhead, letting the palms meet, and then taking a bend into the knees, starting to hinge at the hips, drawing the hands down through heart center, making our way all the way back to that forward fold, melted down over the thighs, finding that little side to side movement in hips or spine, or dangling into the arms and head. This time taking both hands over toward the outside edge of the left foot. And then walking hands back through center, over to the outside edge of the right foot. Back through center. Take a really, really deep bend into your knees so that you can slide your hands palm face up underneath your feet so your toes come to your wrist crease. And then imagine you're going to try to press those toes into your wrist crease as if you could straighten your knees. And slide the hands back out, dangling in the upper body, slow rolling back towards mountain, Tadasana. And sweeping the hands overhead at the top, exhaling over to a forward fold. This time inhaling to our half forward fold, straightening the knees, flattening the back, sliding the hands to the shins or thighs. Pausing for a moment, lengthening the crown of the head away from the tail. And then exhaling, sliding back over forward fold, maybe another slow roll if that feels good, or circle sweep to standing. Pressing into the feet to lift, hands come wide and overhead, and we exhale back to mountain. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, half fold. Exhaling, soften. Inhale, slow roll or circle sweep up. Inhaling, lifting the hands. Exhaling, over fold. Inhaling, half fold. Exhaling, soften to plant the hands. This time we'll pause in forward fold, bringing all your weight over to your left leg. We're going to slide the right leg all the way back for a lunge. So bring that right foot all the way back until left knee is right over left ankle. And then if you're feeling a little more stretchy, go ahead and lower your right knee, untuck your toe. If you're wanting to build a little more heat or do a little more efforting, keep that right knee lifted. And then either step hands up onto your front knee or sweep the hands up overhead. So finding your version of a lunge or a crescent pose. So whether we're lifted or lowered, hips are square to the front of the mat. We have those arms nice and seated down into the shoulder sockets. And then letting the arms reach out toward goalpost arms or cactus arms, opening the heart, lifting the gaze. Reaching back to neutral spine, sending those fingertips overhead. Opening the heart, elbows draw back and down. And lifting. One more time, opening. And lifting. Find a big inhale, reaching through those fingertips. Exhale, bring the hands down to frame that front foot. If we're lifted in the back knee, we'll lower the back knee and untuck the toe. And then coming up onto the very tips of the fingers, keeping the spine long. Start to rock the hips back toward the right heel, reaching that left knee towards straight. So reaching toward a half split or half monkey. And then draw yourself back just a little further, soften through the spine, let head and shoulders reach down for that left knee. And then we'll walk our way forward again. Let that left knee line up with the ankle, moving toward revolved low lunge. So take that right palm and set it just inside the left foot. And then we're going to keep the left knee right over the ankle while we turn the belly toward that left thigh and slide the left hand to the hip. Or if it feels good, send it overhead, shoulder stacked over shoulder. And one more deep inhale. As we exhale, we'll slide or float that left hand back down. Turn the heart back down toward the mat. And then just rock the hips back and forth on your mat a few times, rocking back toward that half split shape. And then toward lunge. And then letting the hips come forward. We'll tuck the right toe. Lift the knee. Slide, scoot, or lift and float that foot all the way forward to meet the left. Forward fold, slow roll, or circle sweep your way back up. And finding Tadasana, inhaling to lift, exhaling to lower, inhaling through a half forward fold, exhaling, softening to plant the hands, bringing all the weight over to the right foot, lifting that left heel, slide, scoot, or float that leg all the way back. Right knee aligns with right ankle. And then if you want a little more efforting or heat building, keep that knee lifted. If you want a little more stretch, lower that knee, untuck the toe. Maybe step hands up through front knee. Float the hands overhead. And then moving through that heart opening flow, sternum lift, elbows drop back and down, gaze comes high. Lifting, opening the heart, reaching. And finding your way back to your lunge or your crescent pose. Bringing the hands down to frame that front foot. If you're lifted in your back knee, go ahead and lower, untuck the toe, and then staying nice and open in the heart, long in the spine. At first, we're going to rock the hips back toward left heel, right knee reaching towards straight. And then let yourself come back just a little further. Head, shoulders reach down for that right knee. And making your way forward. Moving through that revolved low lunge. Left hand plants just inside the right foot, and we'll turn heart and belly toward that thigh. Slide the hand to the hip or stop the shoulders, gaze past the fingers. One more big inhale. Using an exhale, slide or sweep that right hand down. Rocking the hips back and forth a few more times. And allowing the hips to come forward. Tuck the left toe, lift the knees, slide, scoot, or float that foot forward. Forward fold, slow roll or circle sweep up. And from Tadasana, this time inhaling, bringing the hands up overhead, we'll exhale into chair. So keeping those fingertips extended, biceps frame the ears, Let the hips come back and down a little. Make sure that the low back is feeling good. Big inhale in chair. As you exhale, draw the hands down through heart center. Sink a little deeper. As you inhale, bring those hands out to the side. Lift yourself back through that extended mountain or tall mountain. Exhale, sit back and down through chair, flowing the hands through heart center. Inhaling, lifting, upward hands pose. Exhaling, chair or fierce pose. Flowing once more, and then we'll meet in chair, but with the hands extended again. So hips come back and down, a little more weight into the heels, fingertips reaching, and then moving from here into our high lunge. So we're gonna weight over to our right foot. We'll lift our left heel, slide, scoot, or lift and float that left foot all the way back to the mat, aligning the right knee over the ankle. And then opening up, finding warrior two. So we'll open hips up to the left, let those left toes turn out to the side, outside edge of the foot firmly connected. Nice big bend into that right knee. It's just a whole new experience to see myself on the screen. I don't know if I like it. And then we'll reach from here into extended side angle. So we're gazing past the middle finger of that right hand. We're going to take a little reach forward, and then we're either going to float that right elbow down onto the knee, or we're going to press that forearm inside the lower leg, and that left arm is going to extend all the way up overhead as an extension of the line created by back leg and torso. And then waiting for next inhale, we'll lift ourselves all the way back through warrior two, trying to keep that deep bend in the front knee. And then finding exalted warrior, back hand comes to the thigh, front hand turns palm face up. We'll take that little reach forward and then watch that arm scoop overhead while back hand slides down the thigh. Next, inhale, lifting back, warrior two. And then we'll flow one more time through each. So as you're ready, moving through your extended side angle. No rush, eventually making your way back through warrior two, exalted warrior, and meeting back in warrior two. And finding a big inhale in your warrior two. With your exhale, we're going to cartwheel the hands down to frame the right foot. So we bring the hands down, that left heel lifts, and then we're going to slide our right leg all the way back and find a plank. Finding a full breath in plank. If you want to add any other sort of flow here, please do. Or lifting from plank right into downward facing dog. Finding a little movement in your down dog, pedaling the feet, figurating the hips. And then eventually starting to make your way back through forward fold at the top of your mat. Eventually we'll meet back in standing Tadasana. And from your Tadasana, inhaling, lifting the hands, exhaling into chair. Bringing all our weight over to that left leg. We'll lift our right heel, slide or scoot or lift and float that leg all the way back. Crescent pose or high lunge. And then opening up to your warrior two, Virabhadrasana two. Getting ready to reach forward to your extended side angle. Next inhale, lifting back through warrior two. Finding your exalted warrior or reverse warrior. Inhaling, lifting back, warrior two, and moving once more through each, eventually finding our way back to warrior two. And after you find your way back to your warrior two, find that big inhale. And then with an exhale, cartwheeling the hands down to frame that front foot. We'll slide the left leg back. Find your plank. You can pause for a breath in plank. You can add in any other little version of flow that you're used to or you like. You can lift your tailbone right into downward facing dog and find some movement there. And then eventually making your way through a tabletop or a downward facing dog to find our way back toward the top of the mat, moving through forward folds and making your way up to standing Tadasana. And then let's find a little balance. So wherever you are in your space, home office, if you want to be next to a wall or you want a prop or chair or something like that, just find your way there. And then we'll start in nice solid Tadasana, so even weight between our 2 feet. Bringing weight over to the left leg. I'm going to lift the right heel, moving toward Vrikshasana, tree. So we're going to start to bring that right knee out to the right side. And we'll either tuck the toes to the floor just inside the ankle, lift the sole of the foot to the calf, or if you can clear the knee, sole of the foot to the inner thigh. And then pressing into that standing leg, find that nice solid spine. Maybe bring hands to hips, heart center, cactus arms, arms overhead, heart opener. Checking in with the quality of your breath. Can you soften and slow into the breath? And then wherever the hands are, bring the hands to heart center, letting the palms meet at heart center for a moment. Bring that right knee back around to the front of the body, but keep it lifted. Take a little lean forward, hinging from the hips. Either rest those toes on the floor just behind the left leg or keep that leg lifted. So sometimes we'll hear this called arrow as an intermediary to warrior three. So you can just stay here and try to find your balance. Or if you want to move toward warrior three, we're going to try to keep this right hip just as low as the left as we move with the torso and back leg as one unit, drawing in the direction of parallel to the floor. And then starting to lift your way all the way back up towards standing. We're going to swing that right leg through around to the front. We're going to bend the knee and bring it into the belly. Release the hands. Bring them to the knee. Give that leg a little squeeze in. And then let that leg come back down to the floor. Pick up left leg. Give it a nice good shake. And back to our Tadasana, moving through second side, creating that foundation on the right. Left leg lifts, and we'll start to bring that knee out to the side. Find your lower body variation, calf, thigh, toes to the floor. Maybe same arm variation this side, maybe different arm variation this side, maybe a little movement with the arms. And starting to draw the hands to heart center. Bringing the knee back in line with the hip. Take a little lean forward. Press that heel toward the floor just behind right foot. Maybe pause. Maybe continue leading your way forward. If you do, see if you could drop that left hip level with the right. And starting to slow lift your way back through standing, sweeping that left leg alongside the right, bringing it all the way around to the front. Bent knee draws into the belly. We release the hands to that leg. If it has further to go, give it a little squeeze in. And we release that leg down to the floor. Pick up right leg, give it a nice little trig shake, and then we'll come back to our mat or whatever space we're working on, and finding our Tadasana. Inhaling, lifting the hands overhead, exhaling our way over to our fold. This time just dangling into that forward fold again, really soft in the knees, soft in the spine, maybe bringing hands to opposite elbows, shaking or nodding the head, or bringing the hands to the low back. And then we'll pause in stillness, deeper bend into the knees, plant both of those hands and step the legs back to find tabletop. And then if you landed near the top of your mat, we're gonna scoot back a little bit so we can move through melting heart. So hips are gonna stay aligned over the knees, and we're gonna walk the hands out toward the top of the mat. Then we start to feel a little stretch or sensation. We'll bend the elbows, cross the forearms across one another, and rest forehead on forearms. Lifting the head, releasing the arms, walking hands all the way back toward the body to move into kneeling. This will be a high kneel, so we're going to lift the torso up over the knees and then tuck the toes with the heels. Bring the hands around to the low back. Press the hips forward, let elbows, shoulders drop back. Gaze lift. And then lifting your way back toward tall spine. Bring the hands around to heart center, but interlace the fingers at heart center. And then flip the palms. I'm going to say to face me, the camera. Press the palms away. Allow the spine to round and the gaze to come down. And then taking those pressed palms up overhead, so we're going to keep those interlaced fingers. Now they're pressing up toward the ceiling. Find some length here, and then exhale, side bend left. Next inhale, lifting through center. Exhale, opposite side. Inhaling, lifting through center. Exhaling, releasing the fingertips, just bringing the arms down to the sides, giving the arms a nice little shake. And then we'll untuck the toes, bring the hips toward the heels, send the hips over to one side so you can send legs out in front of you. And moving through boat pose to come down onto our backs. So tailbone is about in the center of my mat. I've got about a 90-degree bend in the knees and the hips. I'll lean back just a little, and then I'll either reach the fingertips just to the back of the knees, or I'll float hands alongside the knees, and I'll play with maybe floating both heels a little bit off the floor, maybe a little higher, or maybe pressing through the heels, extending through the knees. And then lowering ourselves down to the floor as slowly as you would like to go. So arms come wide, legs come wide. We lower down a little bit at a time. When you get all the way down onto your back, just bring both bent knees into the belly. Find knees to chest pose, and then find a little rocking or rolling on your low back. And finding stillness, bringing the left sole of the foot down to the mat, keeping the knee bent, moving toward figure four. So right ankle is placed on the left thigh, and then we'll lift both legs into the belly. If it feels good, maybe bring hands to left hamstring or shin. Pull those legs in toward the belly. And if it's not there already, let that left sole of the foot come back to the mat. Bring the arms out to a T and move into your spinal twist. So legs fall to the left, the sole of the right foot reaching in the direction of the floor. And then if you like, bring the gaze out toward the right hand. Lifting the gaze back to the ceiling. Lifting the legs back up. Unwinding that right leg, bringing both bent knees back into the belly. Give them a little squeeze or find a rock movement or draw some knee circles. And then moving into your figure four, second side, letting that sole of the right foot come back to the floor. Left ankle, right knee, legs draw into the belly. Hands maybe help intensify the stretch if that's in your practice. And then moving into your spinal twist, second side, we'll let the legs come back down, arms come out to a T, and legs fall to the side, maybe gazing toward left hand. Lifting the gaze back toward the ceiling, lifting the legs, bringing both bent knees into the belly. Taking a moment to check in with how you're feeling, adding any last movement or stretch or posture that feels good. And then finding a comfortable position to relax fully for a moment. Grabbing any little cushions or blankets or anything that you have around you to make you more comfortable. And then allowing the body to rest. allowing all the tissues of the toes and feet to be relaxed, ankles, lower legs to soften, knees to relax, fronts and backs of the thighs are soft, the glutes, hips, low belly are relaxed, the low back is at ease, mid back, upper back and across the chest and shoulders are soft. Upper arms are relaxed. Elbows, forearms, wrists, hands and fingers. All the muscles of the neck, head and face. Everything relaxed. Bringing awareness into the hands and feet. If you're lying down, sliding the legs long and the hands overhead, finding a full body stretch. And bringing both bent knees into the belly, bringing the hands to the knees, finding a little hug, a little squeeze. And then allowing those legs to take you over to one side or the other, finding fetal position. Pressing toward a seat. And maybe coming back to cushion or the edge of a chair, whenever it feels supportive for a moment. With one more big inhale, bringing the hands up overhead. Exhale, bringing the palms together at heart center. And thank you all. Namaste.